Hey guys, I'm Rhett with Section 8 Real Estate Investing. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and leave your questions and comments below. Questions and comments very important because they're the ones that brought me to this topic today. I want to thank my subscribers for bringing up this issue. Let's talk today about tenant rights. Now, these are the rights that you might not know. You might know that tenants must pay rent every single month if they have a lease. That's a tenant right. That's a landlord right as well. Now, you know that. But here's some you might not know, and that might be a little bit more obscure, okay? We're gonna start number one. Section 8 tenants versus cash tenants. A tenant's rights are protected a little bit differently. Now, with Section 8, I believe a tenant's rights are protected more. Now, why would you want a tenant's rights protected more, you ask, if you're a landlord? Well, a tenant's rights protected are a landlord's rights protected. Okay, everything's is documented, everything's very thorough. They are basically a client of HUD. HUD checks off on everything that's going on with the property. It's a way to keep you safe, and it's a way to keep your tenant safe too, okay? You basically have a middleman in between you and your tenant, which is just a way to protect yourself, okay? You don't really have that with cash tenants, right? At least with Section 8, you know that most of the tenants are vetted, okay? Meaning, if they are criminals, if they have a incredibly bad credit history, if they have, issues going on, a lot of that stuff is under control, or at least someone is acknowledging it, okay? It is not completely going under the rug as if you were to put an ad on Craigslist for a tenant and somebody just goes, hey, I'll live in there. You don't know who you're getting, okay? So at least there are some regulatory phases that must be abided by with Section 8 tenants, okay? Tenant rights. Tenants have the right to livable conditions and all maintenance to be done, okay? On time and done correctly. Now, you might think when you get that phone call at 9 p.m. at night that the back door jiggles a little bit when they open it. Guys, they have the right for you to fix that. Even though you think, oh, it's not a big deal. You know, the door in my house is a little bit loose. Doesn't matter. Get somebody out there and get it done. That is within their rights to have any maintenance done quickly. It must be the way it was when they moved in, and it must be done right. So don't be a slumlord. Take care of it. Even if they're not Section 8 properties and you're renting straight cash, tenants still have those rights. Get it done the right way. Okay? I'm going to keep going back to the Section 8 versus cash renters because, well, for a few reasons, going towards maintenance. And I'll tell you why. Because, and we've talked about this in other videos, with Section 8, that jiggling door handle is going to get found a lot sooner than it is with a cash tenant. With Section 8, you are under the government program where inspectors are going to go out and check that property. Now you might say, oh, well, they're going to make me do all this maintenance all the time. They do make you do some maintenance, right? But that jiggling door handle that might be loose, that might cost you a couple screws and bolts to tighten back on, that's a lot better than not hearing about it for a year and a half. And by the time you go, the whole door is ruined. It's all, the interior of the door is busted. You need a new lock. You might need a new door frame because somebody was slamming it closed because it wouldn't close right. It's just hundreds of dollars that you might be able to save for yourself. So I've talked about that in some other videos, but having a random inspection every year from HUD can actually save you a lot of money. A little bit of maintenance here can save you a lot of maintenance down the road, okay? Now, another tenant right, and guys, this is very important for you landlords as well. A lease does not supersede the law, meaning you cannot put things in a lease that aren't legal. This is your job. You guys should have all your leases written by attorneys, okay? And that might be cheap. You can go online, print out a lease, give it to a local attorney that knows local laws governing landlord-tenant relationship in your city, in your area, wherever you own the property. Have them look over the lease. They might add some things. It's all to protect you and your tenant. Okay, guys? Some things that I have seen in leases, not that I've written, but I have seen that are illegal, okay? Under the table payments, right? A lot of times there's a lease agreement for a certain amount of money, and someone will say, oh, well, you know, I'll give you some cash underneath the table on the side. That's not okay. That's illegal, okay? Especially in government, and especially in all HUD, all Section 8, there is no other cash payments. There is nothing under the table. Every dollar is accounted for. So if you're into that sort of thing, you should not involve yourself in any kind of government housing as a landlord. Another thing, and this is something that can trip people up unknowingly, and this is incredibly important, late fee regulations. Now this is different depending what zip code you're in, what city you're in, and what state you're in. Now what do I mean by that? What's a late fee regulation? Well, if somebody's late on their rent, there's only a certain amount of money and interest you can charge until they pay the full amount that is owed. There's also a cap on that. So you can only put a limited amount of interest, and then it caps out at a certain number, say $25 or $50, and that's it. You cannot charge them anymore. If you overcharge, or if you write something that's fraudulent in that lease, meaning if you don't give me your rent by the 5th of the month, it's $100 a day every single day until you catch up. It's illegal, okay? I don't even need to know where you're from, and that's too much money, right? But it could be something small as, you know, the rent is due on the 1st of the month, and everything after that is late. It's $5 a day. That might be legal, but you might not know that there's a 5-day grace period in your state, meaning you can't charge late payments for 5 days afterwards. That's important to know. You want to protect yourself. It's worth the $100, $200, $300 to have an attorney look over a lease. You pay it one time, guys. If you're going to be a a buy and hold investor with a lot of rentals, paying a couple $100 up front for an attorney to write you a rock solid lease, and you can use it 100 times over and over and over again. That's very important and totally worth it. Which leads me to my next point: document everything. Okay, when you can, send email, use text, don't erase your messages. Everything needs to be documented, okay? And this needs to be documented because if anything happens, if there's damage to your unit, you're gonna need to show it to your insurance company. If you have an issue with a lawsuit with a tenant, you're gonna need to show every bit of proof, harassment maybe with an attorney. It's ugly stuff, but it's better to have that stuff than to not, okay? Unfortunately, landlord-tenant relationships aren't always great. I don't have to tell you that. I'm sure you guys know that. I'm sure you've had a landlord you haven't liked. It hasn't been me because everybody likes me. But, you know, document everything, okay? The tenant should document everything as well, and so should you. Next, the tenant has the right to their security deposit returned on time, okay? Now, there's a bunch of different regulations for what a security deposit is, what can go back to the tenant, and what has to happen with a security deposit. Now, depending on where you are, what the regulations are for your city, your state, security deposits have to go into a trust account or an interest-bearing account. While you're holding them, you have to show exactly where they went. It's actually not legal for you to take a security deposit and just, you know, mix it in and spend it. You have to show proof where it went. You also have to document and show proof that when that tenant moved out, you used it for things that weren't normal wear and tear. So for example, if a tenant gives you $1,000 security deposit and they live in a home for 10 years, you can't take their security deposit to put new rugs in. That's normal wear and tear. Now, if a bunch of walls had cracks in them and they broke a toilet on purpose and there were cracks and breaks that they caused, then you can pull from the security deposit. But you can't for normal wear and tear, okay? Again, that's something that needs to be documented because you might run into issues if you use that security deposit and they might say, well, you know, we didn't do that. Again, document everything. It's gonna go right back to here, okay? Now, if the tenant was great and there's no issues with a security deposit, then you can give it back to them, and when you do, it has to be timely. That is within the tenant's rights to ask for a timely return of the security deposit. Another thing, briefly about security deposits, in that lease, right, we're gonna kind of pop around here. In that lease, you can say, well, when you move out, we're charging you $200, maybe they had an animal. We're charging you $200 for cleaning of that unit. It's in that lease. We're gonna take it from your security deposit. That's okay. It is in the lease that they signed already. they were given forewarning that that might come out of their security deposit. But security deposits are, again, are the meeting place for a lot of headbutting between landlords and tenants. And again, another reason why a lawyer or attorney should write up all your leases. Okay, make sure they're ironclad, not just for your protection, but for the tenant as well. And lastly, this is an ugly one, but tenants do have the right to fight evictions. Now, that hurts to come out of every landlord's mouth, but that is a tenant's right. They do have a right to fight evictions. We're going to get into another video coming up about squatters' rights, which is another very interesting topic I look forward to discussing with you guys. Obviously, tenants do, like we talked about at the beginning of the video, they must pay rent, but they also have the right to fight an eviction for a couple different reasons, depending on what their situation is. And it's a right that they have. It's a right for you to be able to evict them. It's their right to fight that eviction. So guys, thanks for watching. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video. We got a lot of cool content coming at you. Leave us questions and comments below, and I look forward to getting all of them. Thanks, guys.